He cannot keep getting away with this. We've covered Leon Riskin being an impish little trickster before, but he's doing it again. He's still been doing it, but there's enough to talk about, so we're gonna talk about it. I really think we're getting more and more information about the next Five Nights at Freddy's game. So slices, put on your aprons and let's bake ourselves a theory. So what did we go over last time Leon Riskin was being a little trickster? Back in September, he posted several teasers that had us go down the FNAF Abyss rabbit hole. I have a full video on this that you can watch right here, but just for the brief breakdown of it, the several teasers he did post led us to the conclusion that he was making songs for an upcoming Ruin 2, whether that be an actual DLC for Security Breach, the DLC for Secret of the Mimic, or even the next FNAF mainline game. The important part was that this game seemed to be set directly after the events of Ruin, with a codename Forgotten Names and Faces, and something to do with surviving an elevator crash. So my thoughts were that this game was going to be Cassie escaping the weird AR digital world that the Vanny mask has her trapped inside of, and if we fully escaped, we'd be confronted by M2 in the modern day. And while I still think that's a very possible theory, it's not the only one we have now, especially with the recent teasers we've been getting again from Leon Riskin. So what has he been tweeting? Man, I am tired. I feel like I've been walking for ages. At this point, more than anything, I just need to lay down for a bit, but I don't think I can. I'm in the middle of a swamp after all. Oh, a sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Titan. Finding the right mattress can be tough, but Titan is built exactly for that. With their mix of heavy-duty coils and high-quality foam, Titan mattresses deliver serious support without sacrificing comfort. Now, I've worked with Titan before. In fact, the mattress that my wife and I sleep on every single night is the king-size Titan Plus Elite. And not only do we love the cooling topper that makes the entire mattress feel like the cool side of the pillow, but our friend did too and got one for himself. Especially since it's risk-free, because with your mattress, you get a 120 night sleep trial. Just to make sure you like it, you will. And with a limited lifetime warranty and free shipping right to your door anywhere in the US, it couldn't be easier to try a Titan mattress. Not to mention it comes rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up for yourself. I mean, look at this video my friend sent me unrolling his mattress. The best part about all of this is that Titan mattresses are designed, assembled, and shipped from their Arizona factory, which means they're able to use premium materials at no extra cost without a middleman to drive up prices. And Titan offers two different options, the Titan Plus Luxe and their new mattress model, the Elite. They really have something for everyone. I can't tell you how much I love my Titan mattress, and I think you would too. If you need something supportive that actually holds up, this is it. Check out titanmattress.com and get 30% off your order with code RYTOAST, or click on the links below. Thank you again to Titan Mattress for sponsoring today's video. Well, now is as good a time as any. Time to get some rest. So what are these new tweets that Leon Riskin has been putting out there? We'll go newest to oldest, because frankly the oldest one I think is the biggest one. The newest one is a song from FNAF World. The caption reads, "Afterlife, the original name of this track, was a nice experiment, with a surprisingly catchy chorus and an even more surprising C part. Sometimes with the right palette of instruments and sounds, the music creates its own path." The song itself is the one that plays when you go through the glitchy sub-tunnels in FNAF World. I believe specifically the first tunnel. But that's not super what's important. The important thing here is that 1, it's a song from FNAF World, and 2, if you zoom into the eye of the skull image used here and turn up the brightness, there's a hidden code. Several people have decoded it, but the one that I found first was from Nara Raven, friend of the channel, and he and many others have agreed that it decodes to "Hello, Death, Smoke and Mirrors." That's crazy. But frankly, this and the next tweet are kind of the oddball ones we're going to talk about, because a lot of what we've seen from Leon Riskin, I think I can piece together and explain fairly thoroughly. The thing that I don't know where it fits at all is FNAF World. It might be in reference to the virtual circus we talked about recently, but we'll save that discussion for later on in the video. The next tweet up is a fairly normal one, but again, it's about FNAF World, specifically the song that plays in the ice cave. Really pretty song, but hey, why are we talking about FNAF World? What's going on, Leon? One step back and we get another seemingly normal tweet if it wasn't for everything else going on. That being an original draft for Venta Black, one of the songs from Sister Location. There's, again, nothing hidden in this tweet, no secret codes or anything, but he's posting Sister Location music. Huh? One tweet back and we get another song from Sister Location, The Forbidden Nocturne. And this is a seemingly normal tweet, but he points out that this is just the full song this time. Why is he specifying that? Well, that's because of the earliest tweet I want to talk about today. The tweet he put out that reads, "The Forbidden Nocturne, full original version 1. Use headphones, lock the doors, trust no one. Hashtag 104, 97, 115, 104, 116, 97, 103. Now, the hashtags there, he's just being cheeky. He likes to hide stuff in the hashtag, but this one was just to mess with us. Those are the Unicode numbers for the word hashtag. Cool. But the weird thing is, just listen to this version of the Forbidden Nocturne. It starts off normally, but then it plays this, and headphones are recommended. So, like, what? Hey, Leon, what? When I first heard this, I had no idea that's what we were getting into. I listened to it on stream and I was like, yeah, I just want to listen to the music and see what he's posting. I didn't expect the knock and then jump scare. That's crazy. Is this just Leon Riskin having fun and playing around with audio spaces, or is this trying to tell us something? Well, I think taking all of this into account with what we heard about earlier this year in September, some of these pieces do start to fall in place, especially with what that sounds like we're doing. Because it sounds like we're hearing a song from sister location, hearing a crash, and then exploring through a cave system. Frankly, it leads me to a theory I put out around the release of Didophobia that people thought I was crazy for. I still think these are teasers for what is essentially Ruin 2. But these tweets point us to something very interesting we didn't discuss very much in the last video. If Cassie survives the elevator fall at the end of Ruin, where exactly does she end up? It's this strange underground area with a large fan, some dilapidated parts we can't see, but then several hallways that eventually lead to a scooping room. I have, in the past, said that this bunker might be what sister location actually looks like, which I know sounds crazy because this looks nothing like this, but hear me out. Help Wanted established that FNAF 1 through 6 are in-universe games. Not to say that what they depict didn't actually happen. In fact, Help Wanted says the exact opposite, saying that these are real things that happened in the timeline. But we have to keep in mind that they are interpretations, so visuals or exact details might be off. If sister location is an in-universe game, and not only Help Wanted, but things like the Ennard Standee and Security Breach lean to that direction, then anything we see in Security Breach is an interpretation of what actually happened. So if they wanted to make it look more science fiction, even though it took place in like the 80s or 90s, then that's totally possible. Not to mention stories like Didophobia, where in the books it introduces that the sister location bunker was used for hallucinogenic gas experiments in the FNAF 4 testing chambers. That was a lot of babble back to back, but what you need to know is we have evidence to believe that hallucinogenic gas was used within or around the sister location bunker. So if that was loose when Michael Afton was down there, then it's even possible that that is the bunker he saw, even though it's not exactly what it looked like. The hallucinogenic gas in the story just takes what you do see and enhances it. So if it's like a slightly advanced bunker, but you're on this hallucinogenic gas, it might look like the science fiction paradise we see in sister location. All this to say, there are several reasons why this bunker, although visually different, might be the sister location bunker. But admittedly, at the time of making that theory, that was all the connections we had. It was very loose and very speculative, which is why I'm so glad we get to wrap back around to this theory that I was called crazy for after Secret of the Mimic, a game that gives us a hell of a lot more evidence for that exact cause. So we know for a fact that after Secret of the Mimic, William Afton retains all of the land that was owned by MCM. That's not only the actual factory itself, but the underground testing facility, the pathway that connects to the underground bunker, and of course, the house above the underground bunker. And as we've discussed in several theories, this land is used throughout the entire rest of the timeline. That house on the hill is renovated into the FNAF 4 house. This plot of land is at some point bulldozed over and then turned into a FNAF restaurant, and then bulldozed over and turned into the Pizzaplex. They just keep reusing this land, presumably because they already own it. In fact, the lake out front seems to be the same lake that the Fall Fest took place in. A lot of the FNAF timeline takes place on this plot plot of land. But the important part is that house on the hill that we are fairly certain turns into FNAF 4. After all, there are not only similarities in the house itself, but we see in the Fall Fest of Help Wanted, the FNAF 4 house on a hill. A very identical hill in front of a very identical lake that lines up perfectly. And then this started to explain the sister location bunker in the first place. A lot of people were like, how did William Afton, or why did William Afton build an entire bunker underneath his house? But if he inherited this land after Edwin Murray dies, well, Edwin Murray, being an insane person, had already built those underground tunnels and laboratories while he owned Murray's Costume Manor. William Afton just moved in. Which means, if all this is true, which I think all of this is very low on the speculation scale, not only the FNAF 4 house, but the sister location bunker are within walking distance of where the Pizzaplex is located, including the underground pizzeria that we see in-game. Which means, if Cassie breaks out of the side of the underground pizzeria and runs through a cave system, there is a high likelihood that she ends up at the sister location bunker. So when she arrives at an underground facility with a scooper, a massive fan, and an elevator up, I don't think it's a huge stretch to say that this is what sister location actually looked like. Which means if Ruin 2 takes place after the Ruin ending where Cassie falls down the elevator, then it would start right as she wakes up in the remains of the sister location bunker. So with all that in mind, what are these teasers trying to tell us the plot of Ruin 2 is going to be? If Cassie falls down the elevator and begins exploring the area she's now trapped in, she would be inside of the old sister location bunker, an area that we need a lot of answers from, as we've never truly seen it in game. And if Didophobia is correct, not only is sister location down there, but the testing chambers for the FNAF 4 nightmare experiments are too. So whatever this Ruin 2 is, it might be Cassie exploring the old, dilapidated ruins of William Afton's experiment chambers, learning exactly what the remnant experiments were about, learning exactly why William Afton did what he did. Frankly, this all makes a lot of sense for the overarching story of Five Nights at Freddy's Where We Are. I've said multiple times that Secret of the Mimic is the rising action before the climax of the Mimic saga. After all, it gives us the information and motivation behind the Mimic just before its final confrontation. Ruin 2 might be doing the same thing for William Afton. Let's be super real. William Afton is still 90% a book character. His name is not said for the first time in the entire franchise until the credits of FNAF 6. We still know very little about William Afton's motivations or processes. This game might finally be the one to tell us that. Having Cassie explore the ruined facilities that William Afton himself used, the co-antagonist of the current story. Not to mention, if my thoughts on what happens to the Mimic after Secret of the Mimic are true, then we'd be going to the very same testing chambers that M2 was tortured in by William Afton, giving us not only information on William that we've been so desperately craving, but more information on why M2 is doing the things it's doing. So how fitting is it that Ruin 1 showed us what became of the Pizzaplex and the current situation of Five Nights at Freddy's, and Ruin 2 might just show us what became of everything else. I feel really solid about this. Like, everything Leon has been putting out lines up very well with this, except for the FNAF World tweets, which are admittedly a footnote in this theory right now, but can you blame me? That's confusing and terrifying. But I'd love to hear what you think this next game is going to be, because there's a lot of way to interpret what have we heard, like, oh, elevator falling, sister location, and FNAF World. That's really all we've gotten so far, so I want to know how you connect those dots in the comments below. In the meantime, if you want something that's a bit more tangible of a theory about games we already know about, last week I discussed the theory that FNAF 4 takes place simultaneously with FNAF 1. They're the nightmares that Michael has in between his shifts. You can see that theory right here. For your fan art featured on the channel, make sure to share it with hashtag Toastart. A huge thank you to the best channel members, the Dough Risers, and until next time, as always, stay toasty, slices.